How Egypt's $58 billion project could trigger the next water war. What if I told you that right now, just 50 kilometers east of Cairo, a city worth $58 billion is rising from the desert, and it might just start the next water war? For over 5,000 years, Egypt has been called the gift of the Nile. But today, this ancient relationship is under threat like never before. Picture this. Egypt is building a brand new capital city that could house 8 million people. We're talking about a project that's more expensive than the GDP of most countries. But here's the catch. As Egypt pours billions into this desert oasis, their primary water source is being choked off by a massive dam upstream in Ethiopia. This isn't just about concrete and glass rising from sand. This is about a nation betting its entire future on a project that could become uninhabitable if the taps run dry. And don't forget to subscribe. It's the best way to support this channel as we dive into the world's most ambitious and controversial project. Let me paint you a picture of modern Cairo. 22 million people crammed into a city that was never meant to hold them. The traffic is so bad that some people spend 4 hours a day just getting to work. The infrastructure is literally crumbling under the weight of humanity. But here's where it gets interesting. Talks about moving Egypt's capital have been floating around for over 4 decades. Previous presidents tried and failed, but President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi saw an opportunity that nobody else did. In March 2015, during an economic conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, al-Sisi shocked the world by announcing the new administrative capital project. The timing wasn't accidental. Egypt was struggling economically, and the government needed something bold to restore confidence. This wasn't just urban planning. This was political theater on a massive scale. The project got official backing through the administrative capital for Urban Development Company, with Egypt's military controlling 51% and the civilian government holding 49%. This partnership tells you everything about who's really running the show in modern Egypt. But while Egypt was dreaming of their new capital, something was happening 1,000 kilometers upstream that would change everything. Ethiopia had started building the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a project that could control Egypt's lifeline, the Nile River. Let's talk numbers that'll blow your mind. The new administrative capital spans 950 square kilometers with a potential population capacity of 8 million people. That's bigger than New York City and Singapore combined. The centerpiece is an administrative district that'll house all of Egypt's government ministries. We're looking at an 80-story tower that'll be one of the tallest in Africa, plus a second skyscraper that'll redefine the Egyptian skyline. But this isn't just about government buildings. The city features a central business district designed to become the financial hub of the Middle East. There's a massive mosque that can hold 17,000 worshippers, already completed and causing controversy for its $150 million price tag during tough economic times. Green River Park stretches 10 kilometers through the city, already twice the length of New York's Central Park, featuring lakes and native Egyptian flora in the middle of the desert. Think about that for a second. They're creating an artificial oasis that'll need constant water to survive. The transportation infrastructure is mind-boggling. A new airport, high-speed rail connections to Cairo, and a road network designed for millions of cars. Smart city technology is woven throughout: fiber optic cables, automated systems, and digital governance platforms that promise to make this the most connected city in Africa. Phase 1 alone includes residential districts for 2 million people, with luxury apartments and villas that most Egyptians could never afford. The architecture mixes modern glass and steel with traditional Islamic design elements, creating something that's uniquely Egyptian yet thoroughly contemporary. Now let's talk money, serious money. The total price tag is estimated at $58 billion, making this one of the most expensive urban projects in human history. To put that in perspective, that's more than the annual GDP of Kenya or Lebanon. Here's where it gets complicated. The government says it'll be funded through land sales and the administrative capital for Urban Development Company, though some reports suggest it's costing the state billions. Translation: nobody really knows where all this money is coming from. The funding structure is intentionally opaque. The military contributes land, the civilian government provides cash, and private developers are supposed to buy plots. But critics point out that with Egypt's economy struggling, who's actually going to purchase these expensive properties in the desert? This debt-fueled spending on mega projects has contributed significantly to Egypt's current economic crisis. The country has needed 4 bailouts from the International Monetary Fund in 7 years. That's not the track record of a nation that should be spending $58 billion on a new city. The economic multiplier effect is supposed to justify the cost, creating jobs, attracting investment, boosting GDP. But here's the uncomfortable truth. All of this depends on having enough water to make the city livable. The project is being developed in phases, with the first phase estimated to finish in 2030, though several buildings are set to complete in 2022, and we're already past that deadline. What's remarkable is the speed of construction. Satellite images from recent years show a city literally rising from nothing. The basic infrastructure of Phase 1 is complete. Roads, utilities, the foundation of urban civilization carved out of empty desert. The main contractors include international firms like Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill for design, plus Chinese companies handling much of the heavy construction. This reflects Egypt's pivot toward China for financing and expertise, another sign of changing geopolitical alignments. But here's what's really happening on the ground. Government ministries are being forced to relocate whether they want to or not. The military and security services have already moved key operations to the new capital. This isn't just urban development, it's strategic positioning. The coordination complexity is staggering. They're not just building buildings, they're creating an entire urban ecosystem. Water treatment plants, power generation, waste management, telecommunications, everything that makes a modern city function. Quality control is supposedly rigorous, with multiple testing phases before any infrastructure goes online. But critics question whether Egypt has the institutional capacity to manage a project of this scale without massive corruption and cost overrun. Let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the dam upstream. Ethiopia's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is now complete, escalating the dispute with Egypt over equitable sharing of Nile waters. Research shows this could reduce water supplies to Egypt by more than 1/3. Think about what this means. Egypt is betting $58 billion on a desert city that needs massive amounts of water, while their primary water source is being controlled by a neighboring country they're in active dispute with. It's like building a house on a foundation you don't control. The financial criticism is brutal. Many in Egypt question whether the $58 billion could be better invested elsewhere, especially as the country suffers from a struggling economy and ballooning inflation. When people can't afford basic necessities, spending billions on luxury government buildings feels tone-deaf. Environmental concerns are equally serious. Building a massive city in the desert requires enormous energy for cooling, water for irrigation, and resources for maintenance. The carbon footprint of keeping 8 million people comfortable in this artificial environment will be staggering. Social issues cut deeper. The new capital is being designed for Egypt's elite, government officials, wealthy business people, international investors. Regular Egyptians can't afford to live there, creating a literal separation between rulers and ruled. There's also the ghost town risk. Other countries have built ambitious new capitals that remain largely empty. Myanmar's Naypyidaw, Brazil's Brasilia in its early years. Even Nigeria's Abuja struggled for decades to attract residents. What happens if people don't want to move to Egypt's desert dream? But let's be fair, if this works, the benefits could be transformative. Greater Cairo's population has doubled in recent decades, straining water, sanitation, power, and public services to the breaking point. The new capital could relieve this pressure and give the ancient city room to breathe. Economic benefits are potentially massive. Construction alone has created hundreds of thousands of jobs. If the city attracts international businesses and investment, it could become the Dubai of North Africa, a regional hub for finance, technology, and commerce. The technological advancement is already impressive. This is Egypt's chance to showcase that they can build world-class infrastructure. The smart city features, green technologies, and modern urban planning could inspire similar projects across Africa and the Middle East. Regional development extends far beyond the city limits. New roads, airports, and utilities are connecting previously isolated desert areas. The ripple effects could transform Egypt's economic geography, creating new opportunities for millions of people. There's also national pride to consider. After decades of economic struggles and political upheaval, Egyptians want something to feel good about. The new capital represents ambition, modernity, and a rejection of the idea that Egypt's best days are behind them. The global significance shouldn't be underestimated either. If Egypt pulls this off, it proves that middle-income countries can undertake world-class mega-projects. The diplomatic benefits of hosting international conferences and events in a cutting-edge capital could pay dividends for generations. Here's where things get really interesting and really risky. In July 2025, US President Trump announced that the US would work to resolve the dispute around the Ethiopian dam. The water crisis that could make or break Egypt's new capital has now become a major international issue. The completion timeline is ambitious but uncertain. Phase 1 is supposed to finish by 2030. With additional phases extending into the 2040s. But that assumes Egypt can solve its water crisis, manage its debt, and maintain political stability. Future expansion phases include doubling the city's size and adding even more ambitious projects. But all of this hinges on one critical question. Will there be enough water? The global implications are enormous. If Egypt succeeds, other countries will follow their model. If they fail, it'll become a cautionary tale about the dangers of mega-project overreach during times of resource scarcity. This could be Egypt's greatest triumph, or its most expensive mistake. The new administrative capital represents everything ambitious about modern Egypt and everything that could go wrong. In a world facing climate change and resource conflicts, Egypt is betting everything on a desert oasis that might not have water to sustain it. What are your thoughts on this ambitious but risky project? Could Egypt's new capital succeed despite the water challenges, or is this a $58 billion mistake in the making? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore more of the world's most ambitious infrastructure projects. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.